What happened when she arrived?
When she arrived to my house, she came in through the garage, entered into the kitchen from the side door like she always does. And she just looked panicked and upset. I mean, she walked straight in and gives me this big, tight hug and asked me, like, are you okay? And I said, yeah, just a horrible day. But she looked more upset than I've ever seen her. I'm like, are you okay? She's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, just come sit down. I need to talk to you.
Where did you go?
We walked into the living room.
And what happened when you got to the living room?
We sat down on the couch and she started to talk to me. And she said, listen, this is all my fault. But I had no idea anything was going to happen. But this is totally my fault. I spoke in too much detail about your family's personal problems, about your sister, Dan Markel, and the $1 million offer.
What did you say?
I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, my friend killed Dan, and he wants to be paid $250,000.
How did you react?
I was like, what did you just say? And she's like, my friend killed Dan, and he wants you to pay $250,000.
What happened next?
I stood up, and I started cursing, and I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? And she's like, no. I'm like, who did this? Who's your friend that did this? And she's like, I don't want to say. I can't say. And I said, who was it? And she just kept saying, I'm not going to tell you. And I was like, was it Sigfredo? And she's like, no, I'm not telling you. And I just walked in my bedroom and sat down on the edge of my bed.
What happened when you got in the bedroom?
She came into the bedroom, followed after me. She sat down next to me. She started telling me, like, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault, but I didn't know any of this was going to happen. And I'm like, Katie, I'm not going to be part of this shit. Like, I'm not going to be part of paying for a murder. This is insane. And she's like, look, if you don't pay in 48 hours, they will kill you. And I said, Katie, I feel like I'm getting extorted now.
How did she respond to that?
She got really mad at me. She got angry. She's like, look, I'm not extorting you. She's like, I got dragged into this the same way you got dragged into this. She's like, it's my fault for running my mouth the way I did, but I'm not extorting you. Like, I'm trying to help you. So she's like, she goes, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the police? She goes, you go to the police, they'll kill you.
Did she tell you that they would just kill you or they would also kill other people?
She said, he'd come after you, he'd come after the family. Like, Charlie, you don't have a choice. Just pay the money. You said you had the cash. You said you were going to pay a third. Like, just do it. Like, I'm trying to help you out.
What did you do then?
I said, Katie, I don't have $350,000 in cash. And she's like, you said you did. And I was like, no, I cash is, and I can write a check for $350,000. I don't need to take out a loan. And she's like, well, you have a ton of money in your safe. And I said, Katie, I don't have that much in my safe. I do have a lot. And I said, come take a look. And I walked over to my safe. I opened it up. And I'm like, here, take a look. And I took it out in piles and put it on the dresser next to us. And I said, go ahead and count. That's not $350,000.
And did she count it?
Yes, she did.
How much money did she count?
$138,000.
So it wasn't $100,000. It was $138,000.
Correct.
What did she do with $138,000?
She had a big purse. She put it in her purse. And she asked me, she goes, how can you get the rest? And I'm like, hey, that's all the cash I've saved up from forever. And she said, can you go to your parents and get it? And I was like, if I go to my parents, my dad will go to the cops in a second. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stop my dad from going to the police. Like, I could never say anything to him.
What happened next?
She asked me, she said, well, can you pay like $3,000 a month? And I said, yeah, I can do that.
Now, at this point in time, did you have any idea that she was part of the extortion?
No. She kept saying it was all her fault and that she didn't know any of this was going to happen. And she was upset.
What did she do next?
She took her purse, her keys, and her phone, and she's like, I'm going to go call my friend and see if this works for him, and I'm going to try to help you out. And she walked out of the house, and my bedroom was right next to the front door. She walked out of my bedroom outside of the front door and closed the door behind her.
When she went out of the house, what did you do?
I just paced around my house, and I remember sitting in the living room. I got a wood coffee table, and I was just sitting on the coffee table, just in shock, thinking, what the fuck just happened?
What happened when she came back in the house?
She came in the house, and she was being the good guy and telling me that she's going to look out after me, and she's so sorry this happened. The same thing she was saying beforehand, and that she was going to make sure that nobody pays me a visit. And she's like, I spoke to him. You can pay $3,000 a month, or you can pay the rest off. She goes, but the $3,000 a month you're paying doesn't go towards the balance.
What did you do after she told you that?
I just said fine, and I walked downstairs into the kitchen, and I was shaking, and I took a bar of Xanax,
Where did you go?
and I walked outside from the kitchen through the sliders into the backyard. I closed the sliding glass door behind me. I think she got the picture. I wanted to be alone, and I just sat outside behind my house for a while.
Now, when you came back into the house, what was she like?
She was just apologizing and just telling me that her friend's crazy and she's so sorry, and she ran her mouth too much about everything and about the $1 million offer, and she was telling me that she was going to protect me.
Did she take a Xanax as well?
I don't know if she did. She may have, but I didn't give her one.
Did she spend the night that night?
She did sleep over that night.
Now, why didn't you kick her out?
I was in the state of shock, and I didn't think she had anything to do with it. I didn't even want to believe that she had anything to do with it.